Welcome, and thank you for joining us. We will now have a short reading from St. Mark's Gospel, chapter 16, verses 9 to 20. Now when Jesus was risen early the first day of the week, he appeared first to Mary Magdalene, out of whom he had cast 7 devils. And she,
Please excuse me for interrupting, but according to the earliest manuscripts of the Gospel attributed to Mark, Mark's Gospel ends at chapter 16, verse 8.
Whatever do you mean, child? It is written here, as plain as day. St. Mark's Gospel has 20 verses in chapter 16. Not 8 verses.
Yes. I know what is written in the Bible. However, most biblical scholars agree that the last 12 verses of Mark were added centuries later by scribes, and that Mark originally ended at verse 8, where the 2 Marys found the man in the tomb and were so afraid that they didn't tell the disciples. You know the verse where it says, "And they went out quickly and fled from the sepulchre, for they trembled and were amazed, neither said they anything to any man, for they were afraid." That's where Mark actually ends.
Nonsense, child. What proof do you have for such blasphemy?
As I said, the earliest manuscripts of Mark do not include the last 12 verses of chapter 16. Verses 9 to 20 only appear in manuscripts written centuries later by scribes wishing to show that Jesus had risen from the dead. If you look at the writing style of the last 12 verses, you will also see that they are written in a very different style to the rest of the Gospel.
Nonsense, child. Perhaps there was a mistranslation from the Latin of the original manuscripts or something.
No. The earliest manuscripts for the New Testament were all written in Greek, not Latin. But this is not the point. The point is that the earliest manuscripts do not contain the last 12 verses of Mark. They were added centuries later by scribes desperate to show that Jesus had risen from the dead.
You mean all that stuff in the last 12 verses of Mark where Jesus says that his believers can handle snakes and drink deadly poison without being killed isn't true? It was all made up and added centuries later by some scribe?
Yes, sorry. That's exactly what the evidence tells us. You didn't actually believe that you could drink deadly poison and not be killed, did you?
No. Of course not, don't be so silly.
I didn't think so.